Have you ever looked around your home and quietly wondered, whose life is all this stuff actually for? That's exactly what I asked myself the morning after I retired. The house was silent, too silent. No alarms, no deadlines. Just me, my coffee, and a home that suddenly felt like a museum of someone I used to be. I wandered room to room and realized something odd. I'd kept so much, but not because I loved it, not even because I needed it, but because I didn't know what else to do with it. A shelf of gifts I never used, drawers of paperwork I never read, clothes I hadn't worn since I was someone's boss, not someone's grandmother. And here's what really hit me. I wasn't living in my home. I was curating it. For other people's comfort. For memories I didn't want to disappoint. For just-in-case moments that never came. No one tells you this when you retire, that the clutter doesn't just live in corners, it starts living in you, quietly, slowly. Taking up mental space you could have used for peace, creativity, or rest. There's an unspoken fear many of us carry after 60, that letting go means losing control, or worse, being forgotten. But what I've discovered is the opposite. The more I let go, the more I returned. The more space I made, the more clearly I heard myself. So today, I want to share 7 things I no longer keep in my home, things most minimalist seniors are quietly letting go of. Some of these may surprise you. Some may feel like a relief. All of them? They change the way I live and breathe inside my space. And I promise, this won't be overwhelming. No pressure, just gentle shifts, one decision at a time. Because at our age, the most radical thing we can do is choose ease. And stay with me till the end, because number 7, it's not an object. It's a belief we've all held for too long. And once you drop it, everything else gets lighter. Before we begin, I'd love to know, where are you watching from? And how has your relationship with your home been lately? We read every single comment, and your story might be just what someone else needs today. Let's begin, right where most of us are hiding a little weight, inside the paperwork drawer. You know the one. 1. Outdated paperwork. They'll never need again. When was the last time you actually needed that water bill from 1998? For years, I kept every document I thought might matter someday. Utility statements, tax records from the Clinton era, expired warranties for appliances I no longer owned, a folder labeled important that I hadn't opened in over a decade. And the truth? It wasn't about needing those papers. It was about the fear of needing control, because if I had the paper, I had proof. Of what? I wasn't even sure anymore. It wasn't until I tried to find my Medicare card one day that I realized the irony. I had drawers full of paper, and still couldn't find the one thing I actually needed. So I started gently. I sat down with one file box. I looked at each sheet. Most were yellowed at the edges, some unreadable. Anything older than 7 years? I shredded it. Manuals? Online now. Warranties? Expired. Receipts from Christmas 2004? Gone. I only kept medical records from the last 5 years, active financial papers, and ID documents. Everything else was weight. Quiet, unhelpful weight. There's a fear, especially after 60, that if we toss a document, we'll suddenly need it, that we'll be caught unprepared. But honestly, it's not the paper we need. It's the peace of mind, the clarity. And that only comes when you stop guarding old chapters you've already lived. My neighbor Clara, 73, told me, I kept my husband's paperwork for 10 years after he passed. One day I realized I wasn't holding on to the memory. I was holding on to a pile. You can do this too. Pick one folder, just one. Sit with it. You don't have to finish it all today. But I promise, even shredding one old bill can feel like reclaiming your power. And once that drawer breathes again, you'll start to wonder, what else is taking up space that doesn't serve you anymore? Let's take a look at something hanging on your wall, something you might not even like, but kept anyway. 2. Decor that doesn't reflect who they are now. If you moved into your home today, would you still choose that painting on the wall? I lived with a gold-framed picture of wild horses above my dining table for over 25 years. It wasn't mine. It was a gift from my sister-in-law. She loved it. I didn't, but I hung it anyway. For years it stayed right there, watching over every dinner like a silent obligation. One afternoon while dusting, I paused and really looked at it. And I asked myself, why am I still decorating for someone who doesn't even live here? That moment became a quiet shift. I took it down. The wall looked strange at first, then free. I replaced it with a photo I took at the Oregon coast. Soft sky, rolling fog. It felt like a window into who I am now, not who I was when I first hung that frame. Here's the emotional truth no one says out loud after 60. Sometimes our homes keep reflecting who we used to be because we're afraid to admit we've changed. That the woman who once hosted dinner parties for 12 now prefers tea for 1. That the girl who loved florals now craves stillness and calm. It's not about style. It's about ownership. Ownership of our present selves. Eileen, 75, said to me last year, "I finally took down the rooster clock from my kitchen wall. My kids were shocked, but it had been theirs, not mine. I just kept it because I didn't want to seem ungrateful." Letting go of decor doesn't mean letting go of love. It means honoring your now, the woman you've become, the quiet your soul craves, the colors that soothe you now, not in 1987. You can do this too. Walk into one room today and ask yourself, do I still love what I see? Not what it meant, not who gave it, but what it feels like now. If the answer isn't yes, give yourself permission to begin again. And speaking of beginnings, let's walk into the most cluttered room of all, where maybe one day lives in every drawer. Welcome to the kitchen. 3. More kitchenware than they ever use. How many spatulas do you actually use in a week? I had 5. 5 spatulas, 3 colanders, 4 identical casserole dishes, and at one point over 40 mismatched mugs. And here's the thing. I was cooking less than ever. Simple meals for just me most days, and yet every drawer and shelf was packed like I was still hosting Thanksgiving for 20. It started with a quiet moment. I opened the drawer for a spoon, and it jammed. Again. I sat down, pulled the whole drawer out, and lined every utensil on the counter. So many of them hadn't been touched in years. Some still had wedding registry tags, some were doubles or triples, and many belonged to a version of me that had long since retired. From motherhood, from entertaining, from rushing. The real story behind the clutter, it wasn't about the tools. It was about who I thought I had to keep being. The mom, the wife, the hostess. And part of me was afraid that if I let go of the bundt pan, I'd also be letting go of the memories that came with it. But I didn't. I kept one favorite pan, the one I use now. The rest, I thanked them. Then I donated them to a local shelter kitchen. I imagined another woman picking one up, starting her next chapter with something I no longer needed in mine. My friend June, 71, once said, "I realized I was using the same 2 pots every week. The rest were just heavy reminders that I used to be busier." You can do this too. Choose one drawer. Or one category: mugs, baking trays, wooden spoons. Lay them out. Be honest. If you don't use it and don't love it, it's not earning its space. And neither are the silent expectations it's tied to. The reward? A kitchen that breathes, that supports the rhythm of your life now, that doesn't guilt you every time you reach for something simple. And once you feel that space open up, you might realize there's something else in your home you didn't choose either, something sitting on a shelf, quietly wrapped in obligation. Let's talk about guilt gifts next. 4. Guilt gifts. Are you holding on to something just because someone else spent money on it? I had a crystal bowl sitting on the top of my hutch for almost 15 years. Heavy, dusty, not my taste. It was a wedding gift from a cousin I hadn't spoken to in over a decade. Every time I cleaned around it, I told myself, well, it was a gift. I can't just give it away. But one day, I finally asked myself the question I'd been avoiding. Am I keeping this because I want it? Or because I'm afraid of seeming ungrateful? That one question unlocked something. It wasn't just about the bowl. It was the scarf from a friend that still had the tag, the decorative candle I never liked the smell of, the quirky salt and pepper shakers I'd never use but kept out of obligation. My home had become a museum of other people's choices, and my silent fear of disappointing them. Here's the quiet truth we don't often say after 60. Many of us were raised to be keepers of harmony. To smile and say thank you, to hold on just in case they ever ask, but they never do. And if they did, their love isn't measured by your shelf space. I ended up donating that bowl to a thrift shop that supports domestic violence survivors. I told myself, let this bring someone else joy, someone who chooses it freely. That felt better than dusting it ever did. Doris, 74, shared this with me over tea. I realized I was decorating for people who don't even visit anymore. That's when I gave myself permission to choose joy over guilt. You can do this too. Walk through one room today and spot just one guilt gift. Hold it. Ask yourself honestly, does this represent who I am now? If the answer is no, that's not rejection. That's release. And once you've let go of what was never really yours, maybe it's time to look at something you kept for love. A box of memories, a folder of artwork, a pile of things you promised yourself you'd go through. One day. Let's open that box together next. 5. Boxes of unsorted memories. Have you ever opened an old box and closed it right back because your heart just wasn't ready? I had 3 of them, cardboard, taped at the edges, tucked away in the back of my guest room closet. Inside, photos, birthday cards, school crafts from when my kids were little, letters from my husband, now gone almost 10 years. Every time I thought about going through them, something in me paused, because I wasn't just sorting papers. I was sorting pieces of a life I'd loved and lost. One afternoon, I made a cup of tea, lit a candle, and opened the first box. I didn't set a goal. I just told myself, today, I will sit with the past, not organize it. I smiled at some things, cried at others. I tossed yellowed receipts. I kept one drawing from each child. I scanned some letters and let the rest go with a quiet thank you. And you know what surprised me most? It didn't feel like losing. It felt like honoring. Honoring the truth that not every memory needs to be held in my hands to be held in my heart. There's a silent fear we don't often speak about after 60, the fear that letting go of the paper means letting go of the person. But it's not true. You are still the keeper of their story. You don't need a full box to prove it. My friend Joyce, 70, once said, I kept every one of my daughter's report cards until I realized she didn't even want them. I was carrying her childhood in a box she never asked me to. You can do this too. Pick just one box, one envelope, or even 5 items. Sit with them. Keep the ones that make you breathe deeper. Release the ones that make you clench. You're not erasing the past. You're choosing how much of it lives in your present. And once that box is lighter, something else begins to feel possible. A new kind of room. A space where you don't just keep things, you keep peace. And that's what we'll talk about next. Furniture that holds space, but no longer holds purpose. 6. Clothes that no longer fit their body or life. How many outfits in your closet are waiting for a version of you that may never return? I used to have a section in my wardrobe I called Maybe One Day. Blazers from my teaching years. Heels I hadn't worn since my son's wedding. A dress I was saving in case I ever dropped 10 pounds. And each time I reached for something to wear, those clothes just sat there, quiet reminders of a woman I was supposed to still be. One Saturday morning I stood in front of my closet and asked myself, what would happen if I only kept the things that feel good on my body now? Not aspirational clothes, not memory clothes, just honest clothes for an honest life. I made a keep pile and a thank you pile. Some pieces were surprisingly easy to let go. Others I held for a while, then gently folded them into a donation bag. I imagined a woman finding them at Goodwill and smiling. Not because it was new, but because it fit her perfectly. The quiet fear no one says out loud after 60 is this. We think our changing body means we've failed, that softness is something to hide, that aging out of certain clothes means we're less valuable, but that's a lie culture sold us. Your body isn't less. It's wiser, more intuitive, and it deserves softness, simplicity, clothes that don't pinch or remind you of old pain. My friend Elaine, 68, told me, I finally gave away my old pencil skirts last year. I don't even want to wear them again. I just thought I was supposed to. You can do this too. Today, try on 3 things. If it doesn't fit your shape or your spirit, it's not meant for this season. That's not loss. That's liberation. And once your closet reflects who you are now, something beautiful happens. Getting dressed feels like self-respect, not self-judgment. And in that spirit of ease, let's move to the last one. Perhaps the most powerful thing minimalist seniors no longer keep. Not a physical item, but something deeper. Let's talk about identity clutter. 7. Things meant for someday that never comes. Is there something in your home you've been saving for a moment that never arrives? I had a beautiful set of linen napkins tucked away in the back of my hutch, hand-stitched, still in their original wrapping. For years I told myself, I'll use them for a special dinner. That dinner never came, and when I finally did take them out one rainy Tuesday night just for myself, I cried, because I realized I'd spent years waiting for an occasion to feel worthy of something I already owned. We keep someday items because they hold hope. The camping gear we haven't touched since the 90s, the craft supplies we bought for a project we never started, the tea set we imagine using when guests come. Even though no one's come in a long while, we say, maybe next season, when I retire, or if I ever get around to it. But what if this is the season? There's a quiet fear behind those boxes and shelves, that if we let go, we're admitting something's over, that we've passed the point of possibility. But that's not true. Letting go doesn't mean giving up on life. It means giving life back to now. My friend Marla, 66, shared this with me. I kept a brand new journal for 5 years because I was waiting to be in the right headspace to write. Now I write in it every morning with bed hair and coffee stains. That's real life. And it's enough. You can do this too, today. Choose one someday thing, just one. Use it, gift it, or bless someone else with it. Don't let your joy live in storage. You've waited long enough. And here's the soft truth I want to leave with you. Your home doesn't need more shelves. It needs more moments, not someday, but today. You've already earned them. Now take a deep breath. Let it out slow. And if you've made it this far, I just want to say, thank you. For trusting me to walk through these rooms with you. You're not alone, you're not late, and you're not behind. You're simply ready. Would you like me to write the gentle video closing now, light as a breath out? What if the lighter home you're longing for isn't about having less, but finally having room to breathe? I used to think decluttering was about stuff, boxes, closets, storage. But the deeper I went, the more I realized I wasn't just clearing my home. I was unlearning guilt, releasing old roles, making peace with the past. Every drawer I opened, every shelf I emptied, I heard a softer version of myself say, you don't have to carry this anymore. And maybe you felt it too, that quiet weight, the pressure to keep everything just in case, to hold on so others won't be hurt, to save things because we were raised to be keepers. But love isn't in the objects, it's in how we live now, how we rest, how we let ourselves feel light again. My friend Lorna, 72, told me last fall, for the first time in decades, I can see the floor of my closet. I stand there sometimes just to feel what space sounds like. You don't have to do it all at once. You don't have to do it perfectly. Just begin. One corner, one drawer, one object that no longer feels like you. You're not erasing your story. You're editing it, gently, to make room for the next chapter. And if today's video offered even one nudge, one breath of clarity, I'd love to hear from you. Was there one item in your home you thought of right away? One someday box you're ready to peek into? Share it below. I read every word, and your story may be the comfort someone else needs tonight. And if you're still here with me, I want you to know this isn't the end of anything. It's the beginning of a softer, quieter, more spacious life. You're not behind, you're simply becoming. I'll see you in the next one. Until then, be gentle with yourself. You can do this too.